ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our counsels and actions, so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria. Amen. Distinguished colleagues, please let us examine the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, the 22nd day of October 2024. Page 395, page 396, page 397. Distinguished Senator Ashilogun.
Thank you, the Senate President. Senator Wasiu Sonny Eshinlokun, representing Lagos Central. I rise to move for the adoption of the votes and proceeding of 22nd October 2024. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished Senator Akobundu.
Thank you, Mr. President. My dear colleagues, my name is Austin Akobundu, representing Abia Central Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 22nd October 2024 be adopted. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, the 22nd day of October 2024 be approved. Those in support of the motion as moved say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, I wish to acknowledge the presence of students of NN Eshub Bamali Polytechnic Zaria. Is it Nuhu? Nuhu Polytechnic Zaria, who are in the chambers to observe Senate proceedings. I wish you all very fruitful observations and journey mercies back to your destination. You may sit down. Distinguished colleagues, we are also privileged to have the students and staff of Flashy James Academy, Abuja. They are also in the chambers to observe Senate proceedings. We welcome you. We wish you fruitful observations and journey mercies back when you are going. You may sit down. Distinguished colleagues, in addition, we have the staff and students of El Semveku International School, Wuse. I hope I pronounced that right. Otherwise, you correct me later. They are in the chambers to observe the Senate proceedings. I want to wish all of you fruitful observations and journey mercies on your departure. You may sit down. Any petitions? The Leader of the Senate. Your point of order, Senator Leno.
Order 42, Mr. President.
You may read.
Yeah.
What order?
So, thank you. Order 42. For
42.
the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make personal explanation, although there may be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate on his leave to make it sought.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, Senator Lero approached me that he has a personal explanation to make. And in line with Order 42 of our rules, it will not require any debate, and he is not going to bring up any controversial issue. Is it the view of the Senate that he be allowed to proceed? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues. You could recall earlier this week, Senator Sani Musa brought a motion on the broken bridge at Rara and Zungeru bridges in Niger and Kebbi State. And I personally made effort to ensure that the bridge in Kebbi is repaired by the Federal Controller of Works. He responded positively by sending a contractor who is working at a very close range. Unfortunately, the contractor could not do much because of the serious flooding and mudslide. So he abandoned the site. And I continue getting calls from road users. And this road is a very, very important road because it is the only road that links Abuja, southern part of the country, to Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, and even some parts of Katsina State. And heavy load is being ferried on that route. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I got persistent calls that something should be done urgently, and I had no choice other than to employ a private contractor to go and do the repairs. As I'm talking to you, Mr. President, now, the road has been repaired, and it has saved a lot of hardship to the road users. They used to traverse over 300 kilometers from Koko, they go to Zaga, from Zaga, they go to Bunda, from Bunda, they go to Kalgo, from Kalgo, they go to Binikebi, finally, those proceeding to Sokoto will go to Sokoto. It has saved them over 250 kilometers. And you know what that means now, particularly with the cost of fuel. So I want the Senate to know that apart from moving motions, calling on the attention of the Federal Ministry of Works to do something, senators do embark on repair of roads. So, because I want your attention, Mr. President. Apart from moving motions, calling on the attention of the Federal Ministry of Works to do the repairs of roads, on our own effort, we do embark on repairs, and we do it even without asking any refund from the ministry. So I thought I should make this as a personal explanation so that the Senate will know that this road is now in use. People are very happy, and it has saved them a lot of hardship. Thank you very much.
You want us to resolve that you'll be refunded?
No, Mr. President, I did it under my own volition. And this is what I can call community effort. You have to give back to the community what the community has done to you. Yeah. Thank you.
I want to thank distinguished Senator Aleru. Your point of order is sustained. However, I must commend you for what you have done, particularly where you said you are not expecting any refund from the federal government, that you felt that you should give back to the community that has always backed you and given you so much support. May Almighty Allah provide for you and replenish your pocket. And I do hope that the press will note this, that senators do not only take, they also give back to the society. I thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Akpabio, God's will, Obot. And I believe, Mr. President, the proper sequence of the name would have been His Excellency Senator Akpabio, Senator God's will, Obot Akpabio, on the Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill 2024, SB 622. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill 2024, SB 622, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill 2024, SB 622, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Osita Ungo on the National Entrepreneurial Development Institute Bill 2024 SB 479. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Entrepreneurial Development Institute Bill 2024, SB 479, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, National Entrepreneurial Development Institute Bill 2024, SB 479, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Izunaso Osita on the Public Infrastructure Maintenance Bill 2024, SB 618. Mr. President, you may wait to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Public Infrastructure Maintenance Bill 2024, SB 618, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Public Infrastructural Maintenance Bill 2024, SB 618, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume on the Institute of Information and Communication Technology Establishment Bill 2024, SB 623. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Institute of Information and Communication Technology Establishment Bill 2024, SB 623, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Institute of Information and Communication Technology Establishment Bill 2024, SB 624, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Most Distinguished Senator Rufai Sani Anga on the Federal University of Agriculture, Kura, Kano State, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 624. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Agriculture, Kura, Kano State Establishment Bill 2024, SB 624, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal University of Agriculture, Kura, Kano State, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 624, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Most Distinguished Senator Wasiu Sani Eshinloku on the Chartered Institute of Safety Engineers Establishment Bill 2024, SB 625. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Chartered Institute of Safety Engineers Establishment Bill 2024, SB 625, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Chartered Institute of Safety Engineers Establishment Bill 2024, SB 625, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the presentation and adoption of the Conference Committee report on the Nigeria Maritime University Okerenkoko Establishment Bill 2024. Distinguished senators will recall that the Senate and the House of Representatives passed different versions of the Nigeria Maritime University Okerenkoko Establishment Bill 2024. The Conference Committee of both chambers have met and harmonized the differences in accordance with Senate Standing Order 86. Mr. President, with your permission, I move the motion for the Senate to adopt the conference report.
Minority report, or minority leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I write to second the motion moved by the Senate leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support that this report be taken say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, you may proceed to lay your report. Leader of the Senate, you may give us a summarized version of the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Nigerian Maritime University Okeren-Koko Establishment Bill 2024 was passed by the Senate as well as the House of Representatives with a difference. In consequence, therefore, a conference committee was constituted in the Senate and in the House of Representatives to reconcile the area of difference that appeared in the two versions. The mandate of the conference committee, therefore, was to harmonize the area of difference that was observed in the two versions of the bill as passed by the two chambers and make appropriate recommendations for approval by both houses of the National Assembly. The membership of the conference committees as contained in paragraph 2.1 of this report, as well as paragraph 2.2 of the report concerning the House of Representatives. The conference committee met and observed that the two bills as passed had substantially the same provisions, except clause 19 sub 2, where they differed. The committee deliberated upon the area of difference and harmonized same. Accordingly, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the committee resolved and recommended the adoption of the House of Representatives version of clause 19 for approval. Our recommendation that the conference is that the Senate adopt and approve of the harmonized version of the bill as follows: that the Senate do consider and approve the conference committee report on Nigeria Maritime University Okeren-Koko Establishment Bill 2024 as recommended. Mr. President, on behalf of the members of the conference committee, we wish to thank the National Assembly for the opportunity given to members of the committee to resolve area of difference in the bill. Thank you.
Senator Joel Onawoko.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, having read the report of the conference committee, I stand to move the motion that this conference committee, as presented by the Senate leader, be accepted. I so move, sir. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Ize Dafinone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues. Ide Dafinone, representing Delta Central. I rise to second the motion that the report of the Conference Committee on the Nigeria Maritime University, Okeren-Koko, be adopted by this House. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ned Nwoko. I represent the group of Delta North, Delta State. I do stand also to lend my weight in support of the report of the Conference Committee on the Maritime University Okeren-Koko Establishment Bill. Mr. President, there's really nobody here that I know that would be against such a bill, and I urge my colleagues all to lend their weight so as to ensure the passage. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, is there anybody opposed to the adoption of this report? No. Therefore, I put the question. Those in favor that the Senate do adopt the conference committee report on the Nigerian Maritime University Okerenkoko Establishment Bill 2024. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Nigerian Maritime Academy University Okerenkoko Establishment Bill 2024. The conference report is hereby adopted. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition in respect of a petition from Ewato Flobert Oluwadolapo against the Nigerian Navy in 2022 with fair hearing and non-payment of his salaries and allowances by the Navy. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Imasuen Neda Bernard to move the motion for the Senate to consider the report of the committee.
Distinguished Senator Imasuen Neda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Neda Imasu and I represent Edo South Senatorial District Chairman Senate Committee on Ethics.
So you second the motion and thereafter you continue with your report.
Okay, I wish to present the report of the Senate Committee on the matter of the Nigerian Navy and Mr. Ewato on the matter of wrongful dismissal and non-payment of salaries. If it pleases the President, may I come forward to lay the petition?
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved by the leader and seconded by distinguished Senator Imasuen that this report be presented before us. Those in support of the motion have moved, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished Senator Imasuen, you may proceed to lay your report.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this petition was referred to the House on Thursday, 20th July 2023 by distinguished Senator Abiru M. Adedekumbo, Lagos East. The petition speaks of Mr. Ewato, who was employed by Nigerian Navy for absconding and leaving his position for a period of time, going to mount an illegal roadblocks. The petitioner denied that allegation and came before us to look into the matter. The committee sat and we followed all the procedures with both parties appearing before the committee. It was our findings, distinguished colleagues, that Mr. Flubert Ewato was indeed guilty of mounting an illegal roadblocks and also being AWOL, that is away without leave, from his duties for 1 year, for which his rank was
Use your campaign voice.
Reduced. But upon returning from the 1 year AWOL, he went ahead to commit this other offense, which he himself admitted in writing that yes, indeed, it was the devil that pushed him to do such, and had appealed that we should temper mercy with justice. And so we recommended, therefore, that the Senate should uphold the dismissal of Mr. Ewato Flubert from the Nigerian Navy for mounting an illegal roadblock to serve as a deterrent to others, officers who might contemplate on embarking on such criminal activity. And that the Senate do direct the Nigerian Navy to compute and pay the salaries and allowances of Mr. Ewato Flubert from the date he returned from being absent without leave to the date of his dismissal, as was confirmed by the Nigerian Navy. We concluded that Mr. Ewato's action was short of an officer, and therefore our conclusion, as I've stated, was endorsed by all members of the committee. In conclusion, Mr. President, most distinguished colleagues, on behalf of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Conduct, and Public Petition, I wish to express our profound gratitude for allowing us to serve in this capacity. Thank you, Mr. President, and distinguished colleagues.
Any contributions? If there is no contribution, we go to the recommendations. Recommendation 1, that the Senate do uphold the dismissal of Mr. Ewato Flubert Oluwadolapo from the Nigerian Navy for mounting an illegal roadblock to serve as a deterrent to other officers who might contemplate embarking on such criminal activities. Yes, distinguished Senator Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my dear colleagues. Henry Seraki Dixon, Bayelsa West. Mr. President, my contribution to this recommendation is that, the normal thing is if a petition does not have merit, we should not go into any statement of facts. We should simply say that this Senate does not accept the petition, or that the petition is not meritorious and is therefore dismissed. We don't need to, in my view, go into issues of roadblock and upholding dismissal and all of those things that are judgmental. I thought that the purpose will be served if we say that the Senate dismisses the petition, or that petition lacks merit. That's all. So we don't go into, because we are not a court of law that addresses issues of facts and so on and so forth. So if it doesn't merit our intervention, we simply say the petition lacks merit. The Senate dismisses the petition because it lacks merit, full stop. We shouldn't talk of dismissal, roadblocks, upholding this and that, because the man may go to court and then what we do may be subject to contentious facts. Thank you.
The Deputy Senate President.
Let me commend Senator Dixon for his observation in respect to the prayers. We think what they need to do is to recouch, or he should amend the prayers as as per his observation, and that will stand. And that's the normal thing. But the issue of the body of the observations, that is the normal thing that is always done. The facts of the matter need to be stated. So it's in tune with our practice here to state the tune. I mean the entire episode, the entire what happened and so on and so forth before getting to the conclusion. So in respect to that, that stands. But in respect to his observation, as per the prayer, I think he needs to recouch it based on his observation. That is the normal thing, so that we can now move forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, I've listened to the two experienced senators, and personally, I want to thank the Senate Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions in respect of their thorough investigation of this petition. It wasn't a wasted effort, but through your investigation, you were able to bring out the truth, which even the petitioner accepted, that he went from the ship he was posted to, he absconded for 1 full year without approval. So, and they said he went away, absent without leave for 1 full year. And despite the fact that the Navy pardoned him, reaccepted him, he went further to commit another crime of mounting an illegal roadblock in order to extort money from unsuspecting members of the public. So the submission of Senator Dixon backed by the Deputy Senate President seems to make sense. If we find out that the petitioner committed the first offense and was pardoned and committed the second offense of a criminal nature and was dismissed from service, recommending that he should be paid salaries for the period he went on he went away, that is absent without leave for 1 full year. We'll look as if we are going into extraneous matters and we are giving him an opportunity to go to the Senate. So I want to give the opportunity to the chairman of the committee, who has done a thorough job, to recount the entirety of the recommendations. It should just be one line that either the petition has merit or does not have merit, so the Senate can move on. Distinguished Senator Emmanuel.
Thank you, Mr. President. The reason why the committee...
Distinguished Senator Emmanuel.
Yes.
You didn't hear the ruling. The Senate's decision is that you should recouch your recommendation. Let it be one line recommendation, that either the petition has merit and is upheld, or the petition does not have merit and is dismissed. So the Senate can move on.
All right.
Please proceed in that line.
Distinguished President and distinguished colleagues, the recommendation of the committee is to dismiss the petition of the petitioner for lacking in merits.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any seconder? Yes, distinguished Senator Kaka.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Kaka Shehu Lawan. I represent the good people of Borno Central Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion ably moved by the Chairman of Ethics and Privilege that the petition lacks merit and same be dismissed. I so second. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved by the Chairman of Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions, that the petition of Mr. Ewato Flobert Oluwadolokpo against the Nigerian Navy lacks merit and therefore should be dismissed by this August Assembly. and is seconded by distinguished Senator Kaka. Those in support of the recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the report of our committee is upheld, and the petition of Oluwadakpo is hereby dismissed by the Senate for lack of merit. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Education, Basic and Secondary, on the compelling need to tackle the challenge of out-of-school children in Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Usman Lawal Adamu, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the report.
Distinguished Senator Lawal.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Lawal Adamu Usman, representing the good people of Kaduna Central. I move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Education, Basic and Secondary, on the compelling need to tackle the challenge of out-of-school children. I so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Ume.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume, OFR. I represent the people of Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive the reports of the Committee on Education, Basic and Secondary, on the compelling need to tackle the challenge of out-of-school children in Nigeria. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support of the motion say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The distinguished Senator Lawal, you may proceed to lay the report.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 20th March 2024, debated a motion moved by Senator Olariti Idiat, Adebule, Lagos West, on the compelling need to tackle the challenge of out-of-school children in Nigeria.
Speak to the microphone so that we all can hear.
The Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 20th March 2024, debated a motion moved by Senator Olariti Idiat, Adebule, Lagos West, on the compelling need to tackle the challenge of out-of-school children in Nigeria, and mandated the Committee on Education, Basic and Secondary to engage the Federal Ministry of Education with a view to paying special attention to the issue of out-of-school children, with the ultimate objective of drastically reducing the number. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the committee had written interaction with the Ministry of Education, consider and approve a report on 18 July 2024 for consideration of the Senate. The report having been, I wish to refer my distinguished colleague to the page 6 of the report, where we have the committee observation and recommendation. The committee considered the submission from the Ministry of Education and observed that there is urgent need to hit the ground and activate the roadmap of the federal government on curtail the out-of-school children. No tangible action has been taken by the ministry considering the out-of-school children since 2024 notwithstanding its relevance. There is no reliable data to date on the out-of-school children. This deserves urgent attention to tackle the menace. Out-of-school children is a national phenomenon, especially with the viewed form of insecurity, kidnapping, and banditry all over the country, number and status of which varies from state to state. But the focus on tackling it over the years has been in a few states. There has not been synergy or roadmap with the state government on out-of-school children. Our recommendation: the committee recommends that the Senate do urge the federal government to expand and implement the school feeding program to attract attendance of children to school and support their health and well-being. Urge the federal government to design an inclusive national policy on education that will energize the national and sub-national government to tackle responsibility and ownership and provide improved security safety of school at their levels. All the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation Agency, community and religious leaders, and all relevant agencies to embark on national sensitization aimed at identifying and enrolling out-of-school children. All the national legislators to liaise with various state and local governments to ascertain accurate data of out-of-school children for adequate planning and funding. All the executive to allocate and timely release adequate funds to the Federal Ministry of Education and other relevant government agencies charged with the responsibility tackling of out-of-school children to reduce it to the barest minimum within the timeline 2024 to 2027 for execution of the Education Renewal Hub agenda of the present administration. In conclusion, addressing the issue of out-of-school children in Nigeria demands constant joint effort of government and at all levels, national and state, local government, traditional ruler, parent, development partners, civil society organizations, and stakeholders in education. Ensuring security, improved education infrastructure, enhancing teachers' training, accurate data management, adequate funding, monitoring, and updates. Collaboration with state and local government are all crucial in this regard. The committee therefore invites the Senate to consider and approve the recommendation contained in this paragraph. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes. The Senate President Emeritus.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm alone, I represent Yobe North. Mr. President, I want to make some comments on the recommendations. These comments are of general nature. I believe that the Federal Ministry of Education in Nigeria has no national policy on out-of-school children. Mr. President, the National Council on Education must have a clearly spelled out national policy on out-of-school children. We have 20 million out-of-school children, and in fact, could be more. And this is a huge challenge to not only our educational sector, but our national security, Mr. President. So we should, when we consider the recommendations, we should urge the National Council on Education, where the Federal Ministry of Education, all the states, ministries of education, and the FCT are present to have a clearly defined national policy on out-of-school children. The second thing, Mr. President, in the recommendations is recommendation 5, where that's on page 7, where our committee, and I must commend the committee for a very good job, is talking about the release of funds for dealing with this issue. I think based on what we should know better, we should appropriate. We should not leave this matter in the hands of the Federal Ministry of Education alone. Our committee on basic education particularly should engage. And then in the 2025 appropriation bill, something tangible, something meaningful and reasonable and significant should be made available. Lastly, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we are talking of feeding, the school feeding program. I, from my experience, and of course those who are in the 9th National Assembly, would tell you that that program was abused, grossly abused. Even when COVID kept everybody in their residences, expenditures were incurred on feeding people who were not in schools. That means that the program is prone to abuse and manipulation. So we need to look at how to make it foolproof if we must continue with school feeding program. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yes, distinguished Senator Dixon.
Henry Siraki Dixon, Mr. President and my dear colleagues, and I represent Bayelsa West. Firstly, I want to commend the very thorough work done by our committee that has been presented to us, and also commend the efforts of distinguished Senator Adebule, who raised this as a very urgent matter, and indeed a very serious issue of national concern. Mr. President, general comments and then few remarks on the recommendations. The crisis facing our educational system is at the core of insecurity, is at the core of leadership failure, is at the core of a lot of issues affecting the development of this country. And one of the most important contributions this Senate can make in our national development efforts is to ensure that we get to the root of this. Not just addressing the issue of out-of-school children, which is very important, but also the crisis facing the educational system generally. All of us who went to schools 30, 40, 50 years ago know the kind of education that was available. Available for the rich as well as the poor. There was a time when students from all over Africa and even beyond took pride in coming to this country to attend our universities, primary, secondary, and tertiary. So, Mr. President, as we discuss this issue, let's not limit our contributions only to the issue of out-of-school children. Very important, but we should use this opportunity, in my view, to undertake a comprehensive overview of the crisis facing our educational system. And bearing in mind the fact that, rightly so, in our federal system, the issue of education is on the concurrent list. Yes, it's on the concurrent list. So there's not much really by way of legislative intervention that we can do. Yes, we have a role to play, and which is why in the area of recommendation, Mr. President, I think we should not get tired. We should rise to the occasion and have a conversation with the leader of the executive arm. I suggest that the time has come, if it's not even too late, but it's never too late to try. We should move for a national conference, kind of. Maybe not a conference, but a summit We need a summit where you have the stakeholders at the sub-national levels. And it will be nice, Mr. President, if this Senate and the National Assembly under your leadership will take the lead in this. Because this issue is at the core of insecurity. For those of us who have had an opportunity to serve at other levels, we know the differences we made by investments in education, by building schools as we did, by introducing even boarding schools for the first time for some of us as I did, by introducing the Tertiary Education Loans Board, which happily Mr. President has replicated at the federal level. That's why I enthusiastically supported it. By introducing the Education Development Trust Fund in my state, where a compulsory levy was put, and the various schools, primary, secondary, and making even feeding, even clothing free in those schools.
30 seconds left.
So this is with what we have. We know what investing in education can do beyond putting people in schools, beyond building manpower, beyond creating future qualified, competent leaders. We are also addressing security problems. So my suggestion, lastly, before I take my seat, Mr. President, is that you should lead, have a conversation with the president and address. It's already starting to address it by the Students' Loan Board, which is going a long way in enabling students to access education. But let us have a summit where the governors, who are the heads of the sub-regional levels, will also be there with their own commissioners and policymakers, so that we can formulate a coherent national strategy. And then we can, as Senate President Emeritus said, back it up with appropriate legislation. Right now, there are states, unfortunately, in this country, unfortunately, where even with the monies available in UBEC, they can't pay their counterpart funds to access. This country has a framework for managing most of these things. But look at the UBEC funds. There are some states, incidentally, those are the states that are highly even implicated in the area of communal crisis and insecurity and banditry and so on. Because there's a clear link between investing in education and stability of our communities and our society and our country also. So, Mr. President, I think this is beyond education. It's beyond out of school children. You should take the lead and let the president be briefed and the state governors, so that we can all sit down as a country and fashion out an educational system that will work for all of us. Thank you very much.
I do appreciate, but let us try and education is so wide. The report is talking only about out of school children, so we should try to limit ourselves to out of school children. DSP, I know when you raise your hand, I must recognize you. But Olamileko was the first. Since do I have your permission to recognize it? Okay, granted. Olamileko.
Thank you, Mr. President. Adiola Solomon Olamileko, representing Ogun West Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me also join my colleague in commending the committee for a job well done, but with some reservation. Mr. President, before I go into just the document that is before us, I strongly believe that there are some salient issues which we should ask ourselves. And I know for a known fact that the government, successive administration has done a lot in the educational sector. Even from the content of the reports, where you observe from the activities before the observation and the recommendation, it shows the committee in this document also show the effort of the government that has been done regarding the out-of-school children. But we are not looking at one important areas which all of us should ask questions about, which is at the subnational level. There are a lot of effort. For instance, the universal basic education, which you just mentioned. Mr. President, the rule about the universal basic education is that the government will provide certain part of the fund, while the state government will complement. But we have billions of naira lying fallow at the universal basic education, with the state unable to come up with their own counterpart funding to address all these menace we have under the out-of-school children. They cannot come up with the fund. And the federal government every year, because universal basic education in the budgetary allocation is on a first-line charge. It's a first-line charge item. So the federal government is providing their fund, but the subnationals are not coming up with their own counterpart funding, which is a problem. So, Mr. President, I want to say that the government is doing a lot of effort is being as contained in this report. The identification and the exercise carried alone identify about 24,000 out of school children between 2021 and 2023. About 1 million enrollment has been done regarding the out of school children as contained in this report. As contained in this report. While the report also raises the challenges that is confronting, but in their recommendation, some of the challenges that were raised, they were silent on it. And this is one area I want us to look at. I will give you, for instance, Mr. President, if you look at page he said on page 4, he said the major factors responsible for the spate of the out-of-school children. He said, number 1, educational demand barriers, issues around poverty and lack of resources to enroll children in school and socio-cultural norms, tradition and beliefs. 2, he said educational supply barriers, non-availability of sufficient classroom, deficit of qualified teachers, particularly in rural areas, teachers, guides and learning materials from the government. As we go to their recommendation, they were silent on some of these important items they have identified as the major barriers. So, Mr. President, I want to agree that yes, this is a menace in our hand which we need to tackle. But at the same time, we need to do more at the subnational level, because this is where it all started. As we speak, payment of the salaries of primary school teachers, even their areas, are domiciled with the local government authorities. It's with them. So I think the subnational should do more in this regard. We should not put all problems, everything, at the doorstep of the federal government. Federal government is to come up with a national policy that will cover every areas regarding these out-of-school children, but we should call on the subnationals as well to do more to assist in this regard. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Let me add, do you all have page 4? Because mine seems to have jumped to page 5. So please look at your, yes. So the Deputy Senate President is on the line. DSP is on the line.
Mr. President, thank you for recognizing me to say my comment in respect to this report. First of all, let me commend the committee led by Senator Lawan Adobu Usman for a wonderful job. They did a good work in putting together this report. I commend them for doing so. And I feel compelled to make my comment in respect to this report, because the issue is really grave. It's a serious problem that if we leave it unattended to, it's a kind of time bomb. And once the bomb explodes, it's going to consume us, particularly the northern part of this country. Because the number of children that roam our streets without going to schools is really something that needs our attention. It's a serious problem. Serious problem. And it's a problem that is beyond, the solution is beyond the federal government alone or any type of government. It should have an all-inclusive attention. State governments, local government, federal government, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and even parents, everyone, because everyone has a role to play. And I feel happy that the committee concluded by saying addressing the issue of out-of-school children in Nigeria demands concerted joint efforts of government at all levels, national, state, and local, traditional rural parents, development partners, and so on and so forth. Because federal government can't do it alone. State government cannot do it alone. Everyone has to come together. Everybody should come together. And when you go to the lowest level, the parents, there must be reorientation of those who feel that schools or education is not important. Let them understand. And the parents also, they should be, reoriented. They should have a reorientation in respect to knowing the fact that being parents, they have that duty on them to make sure that they train their children in the proper manner, prescribe the two religions, the two primary religions we have in this country, both Islam and Christianity. It really, gives that responsibility onto the parents to make sure that they take care of their children. So allowing kids to be roaming the streets in the first place is not something that is accepted by Islam. Without giving them the proper care, it's not something that is accepted by Christianity. That has to be said loud and clear. The reorientation has to commence immediately so that parents will know that they need to do that. Then, of course, there should be an arrangement as clearly spelled out by Senator Dixon and Senator Solomon for the whole stakeholders to sit down and find out a solution to this problem.
30 seconds.
So I still submit, Mr. President.
I thank you for adhering to the time. 30 seconds as you married. Thank you. This is Senator Aliru. Okay. Well,
Thank
you don't
you,
have
Mr.
out-of-school children on that side.
Distinguished colleagues, Mohammed Adamu Alero, representing KB Central. Mr. President, let me start by going down the memory lane. As far back as the year 2000, the Universal Basic Education was launched by President Olusegun Obasanjo in Sokoto. Why Sokoto? Sokoto happens to be one of the most educationally disadvantaged states. And of course, the surrounding states like my own Kebbi, Zamfara, down to Katsina, and what have you. The whole idea is to get everybody going to school, right from the age of 5 up to 15. That's why we said universal basic education, primary, and also junior secondary school. And huge sums of money are budgeted every year. And counterpart funds were required by the state government. And unfortunately, Mr. President, in our constitution, like it's been said by other contributors, education is on the concurrent legislative list, where state and federal government can legislate. But we know that primary education, if you look at the constitution properly, rests with the local government councils. And we know what's happening to the local government council today. Their money is not being given to them. We debated here severally, even on the 9th Senate, there was even a legislation we made that money should be released directly to the councils. Unfortunately, it didn't see the light of the day. So there is very little the local government council can do. Now, everything rests with the state government. Some of them are not even interested in accessing the fund from the UBEC. Like Adola said, billions are now waiting. And Mr. President, we should make it very clear. States that are not interested in accessing this money should be given to other states that are interested. We can't allow the money to be lying waste. Some states have even passed legislation making it compulsory for every child to be in school. But unfortunately, they lack, the ability to enforce the legislation. And once there is no enforcement, nothing happens. And I agree with all those that said that Out of school children is like an elephant in the room. It is the biggest security risk we have in the country. To be honest, I want to state very clear that Nigeria is the only country in the world where we have over 20 million out of school children. Over 20 million. This has been stated by the United Nations, and it has been said by National Bureau of Statistics. It has been confirmed by Federal Ministry of Education. But what have we done to really address the problem? So I agree that there should be a national conference on this. Let us call the governors, let us call our legislators, let us call our businessmen and sit under one roof and discuss this issue. It is so serious that we have to tackle it with all seriousness, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is Senator Bangira.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
1 minute. No, go on. I'm only giving you time.
Oh, thank you very much. I thought you said you needed. Senator Babangida Hussein representing Jigawa Northwest. I think one of the major problems, I commend the report, but it wasn't all-encompassing enough. We have been talking about the issues of out-of-school children since the MDG goals. Goal number 2, MDG 2015 to 2030 was talking about 2000 to 2015 was talking about goal number 2 was about education. SDG goal 4 and 5 were talking about quality education and gender equality. These are key elements that should be captured in the report. And the principal driver of the MDG goals and the SDG goals were about 3 key elements. The EFA goals: equity, quality, and access. These are the primers and the movers of reducing the issue and the impact of out-of-school children. It's just a manifestation of a deeper problem. And until we are able to establish the propelling factors that drive children out of school, we will not be addressing the problem. In those days, you know, the government is responsible for exercise books, textbooks, instructional materials, quality teachers. The school environment is made attractive. But today, go to our primary schools and secondary schools, they are just a shadow of themselves, and they don't really inspire our young ones to go to school. So I think the report should be enlarged to encompass all the issues that will help us in understanding the phenomena. Secondly, the issue of lack of coordination between the national and subnational levels is very critical. Because if you want to address the issue of education, it has to be in a holistic manner, taken with drive, and such that every part of Nigeria will be a stakeholder in the process. So I think one very important element that we have to address is the issue of effective coordination between the nationals and subnationals. Be that as may, I appreciate the effort of the committee, and I look forward to a deeper and more specific report that will deal with the issues that I highlighted. Thank you, sir.
This is Senator Bumai. Senator Lalang. You almost look like Bumai.
I'm distinguished Senator Lalong, representing Plateau South. Your Excellency, let me align myself, especially with the last 3 speakers, in respect to this matter. All of us from the North will know that, for me, it's a shame. It's a shame. I say it's a shame. Because about 10 or 15 years ago, Bill Clinton, former president of America, had to come to Nigeria. What was he coming to do? He was concerned about the plight of out-of-school children. He particularly said, we are sitting on time bomb. Today we are already seeing the time bomb addressing these issues. Some people will say it is from federal, some people will say from the state. Coming as a former governor, I think it is from the states. I say this because of out of experience, sir. Federal government have done everything, a lot. They have done a lot. When we attempted Almajiri school, taking back children, compulsorily forcing them to go to school, it ended with a religious dimension and it died down. They are back to Almajiri streets. They introduced agile program, especially for the female ones. Only very few states, even with the World Bank funds, are bringing counterpart funds. I take a dimension from the last one that we did. Mr. President, you have done your best, even commenting every time about actions on local government funds. Today, we are still seeing a different thing, like they mentioned. At one time, when we were governors, we recommended to the president, we say you must take some compulsion, you must do some compulsory measures. What was the time when he attempted? President Buhari attempted one. When parish funds came, parish, what do they call it? Parish funds came. He made it a priority that all those that have not accessed the UBEC funds in respect to education, in your state, it was first of all a priority. They will remove it and access compulsory for you to go and address those issues. Then the remaining balance, they will tell you, come and collect. Today, sir, we have a lot of certain things, even without parish club. We have subsidy palliatives. We have so much funds going to the states, but they are not addressing the issue of education. Mr. President should also take bold steps to take a decision. Any palliative that is going to a state, and that state has challenges of educational funding, especially accessing super funds, what they will do is to say, okay, first priority, we are taking this to access your super fund. Go and address the issue of out-of-school children. Otherwise, we'll continue to do the same thing. We'll introduce so many measures and it will go in vain. We are looking forward to one day that this country will agree with Mr. President that direct funding will go to local governments so that they will address this matter. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Did you, Senator Sani Musa? My eye did not catch you. Your mic.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District. My distinguished colleagues, this is a very important issue. For too long, we have been talking about out-of-school children. We have been talking about UBEC. We have been talking about how we will change our educational system. And for too long, we will continue to be talking if necessary action is not done. If you look at the high socio-economic imbalances we have in this country today, if you look at state governments, this problem is not just today. This problem has been there. Lip services have been paid to the issue of education. Today you go to other, even African countries today, you see how they manage their primary schools. If you see their primary schools, they are no different with the tertiary universities we have, tertiary institutions we have in Nigeria. Go to Morocco and come back and see how their primary schools are. See the kind of skills they give to their children. And we are here, we are leaders, but we every day stand to pay lip services to these issues. When funds are appropriated, when state governments are asked to give their counterpart, or when federal governments or World Bank, why should we even be taking money from World Bank to fund our primary education in this country? We embezzle the money. It's shameful. Go to see secondary schools, go to see primary schools. Not in one state, in all the states of this country. But every time we sit down, we go and look at reports upon reports every time, and we are not doing anything about it. I will recall when they said in the northern Nigeria, the Almajiri system, the schools that we have, they are going to, the convention, they are going to bring them up and put them together under the conventional system. They did as if it's going to work. Budget was made for all those purposes and nothing was done. If we want to go further, if we want to move forward, we need to change and create some innovations to our primary school curriculum. Today is not about school feeding that will make children to go to school. No. When you give a contractor and he's giving them indomie and one egg, and you think that is what will make them to go to school? Go to China and see little things that attract children to school. And those things that are attracting those children to school are also giving those children some kind of insights on how to innovate. This is what we need. We said we should ensure free education, basic education. That is primary school education. In 2024, we are talking of tens of thousands of little children out of school. This is very shameful. So I think this report is not enough for us to tackle this issue. We must address these things head on. State governors have to come to the table and be honest about taking care of this thing. Why should even federal government be involved in funding primary education? Why should it be? So, Mr. President, sir, this report, I believe if we should follow it up, take all the inputs that a lot of senators have made here and challenge ourselves to seeing that this works. Because if you don't give that foundation, if you don't give that basic foundation, our educational system will be rubbished. As it is today, you see somebody with master's degree, tell him to write one statement, he cannot do it. So what foundation are we putting? This is my contribution.
How did he get the masters? When he cannot write a statement. Senator Sadiq, you may try to answer that question.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North. Well, I can't answer that question, but I will ask Senator Sani later, and I will inform you when I come to your office. My contribution. On this floor, I've been consistent for 6 years today that our pathway for the development in this country is just pay attention to our educational system and our healthcare system. Those are the key pillars that will move us. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I think that we are not paying the required attention to education. Yes, federal government is trying, like my colleague said, but what are we budgeting for education? Less than 8% in the last budget. Kenya has moved its budget to 30%. Now, that is federal government. Interestingly, education is in the concurrent list. Therefore, state governments and local governments should have a higher role to play in enhancing our educational system. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I beg to say here that we need a total turnaround for our educational philosophy in this country. What we are doing, people going for paper education, not ready to learn any skill, is not helping us. We've had policies to try to drive this problem, but it's not working. But we have no option. We must go back. What kind of education do we need for our people? We need functional education. Everybody mustn't have a degree. Let's pay attention to basic skills and let people see the value of why they are going to school to get something. And when they have a certificate, they have a job to do that can give them money that will be useful to them. Therefore, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I do think that we should declare an emergency for our education in this country, where all stakeholders, from up to the grassroots level, including community leaders, must be involved. And we must all take ownership. If we don't do this, we cannot move to where we need to move to, because that is our basic first part to development. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yes, Governor Bello, you want to add?
Thank you, Mr. President. Abubakar Sani Bello, representing Niger North. Mr. President, I have listened with attention to all the contributions. But I think under this democratic setup, there must be a change of ideas, and we must have the courage. Mr. President, you were once a governor. From my own little assessment and from what I have seen so far, we can sit here and discuss all the problems. I think we know what the problems are. But I think the implementation is where the problem is. Mr. President, a politician, for example, let's say a governor, for example, would rather invest money in building bridges, roads, something he can show. Is a major problem. Education, investment in education is not something you see immediately. The gestation period for investment in education takes a long time. You can invest in education today, you probably won't see the value until 10 years, 5 years from day of investment. So in our setup, political setup, especially someone that is looking for second term, he wants to invest in projects that he can show immediately. Mr. President, that will not solve our education problem. We must get the courage to invest in education regardless of what people will say. To give you an example, in Niger State, when I was governor, we have 56 boarding schools. We have schools without toilets, schools without dining hall, schools without fence. You can't get good leaders out of system like this. We all came out of good system. In some cases, we've lost students due to lack of toilets. They have to go to the forest at night to ease themselves, and they're bitten by snakes. So what I decided was to not to renovate, but to start rebuilding the schools, which cost a lot of money, Mr. President. A lot to fence and do toilets, build dining halls, fix their roofs, was costing over $1 billion for each school. We didn't have the money. But thank God we're able to do 9. And if that was a program that continued, government after government, maybe one day. But you see, the maintenance culture must continue. Because if you renovate a school today, because there are children, if you don't keep on the maintenance, after 1 year, you go back to square one. So, Mr. President, in short, this is a very serious problem that I think the federal and state governors need to sit down, forget re-election for now, invest in education. Nobody will see it, but in future, you see it. I can't imagine a school where girls, all girls school cannot go to toilet, they have to ease themselves in front of their dormitory for fear of being bitten by snakes. Imagine the health hazard and the strong smell. So, Mr. President, I agree with all the intervention, but I think our conscience should judge us. Anybody that is in position today, I believe, was in school 30, 40 years ago, where in some cases, even in school, we're giving money for trade. So, Mr. President, that's my intervention. I think we need to do more. I think there should be more discussion, roundtable discussion between the subnationals and the federal government. Even the issue of UBEC, Senator Lalong mentioned is true. Some states have not accessed their UBEC funds for many years. In some cases, when they access, they divert it for something else. So I think there must be a robust discussion between the subnationals and the federal government to address this problem. Thank you, Mr. President.
I looked at the time and I realized that we have spoken for over 1 hour on this report, and we have many other reports to take today. The last submission by Governor Bello is a bit scary. Our children are dying because of lack of toilets and then they struggle to go to the bush even in the night, and they are bitten by snakes. It's not something we should hear in the 21st century, but it's a reality. And that calls to question the activities of the various subnationals, because I haven't seen any primary school that one will say belongs to federal government. There is no federal government primary school, for instance. And over and above that, our committees in the Senate should be able to do more to visit these schools, take pictures, and make periodic reports. The Senate leader, we must have reports from committees. We must have quarterly report from committees so that we can assess what is going on and build on those reports. If we need to go on retreat, we need to go on roundtable discussions with all concerned stakeholders, we do so. Because I'm aware that in some states, children are sitting on the floor to obtain education, particularly at the primary school level. And there are some states that I saw where children were sitting inside water. Inside water. They carry their chairs from, they bring in their chairs from home, and then they put inside water because the classroom is flooded, and they sit inside there and they are getting education. So we would like to see such reports, and we would like to debate, and we would like to particularize those institutions, and then we would like to focus attention on ameliorating the plight of those children. I can tell you that unless we do proper oversight functions, it's not enough for us to charter plane to Sokoto to go and look at the road, the Badagry-Sokoto road. We should also be able to charter plane to go and look at a primary school in Nyanya or anywhere, but we are not doing that. So it's everybody's fault. The federal government may be doing enough, but if the idea of counterpart funding has become a problem, that those monies are lying waste for over 10 to 15 years, then we may have to think of whether to remove the idea of counterpart funding so that states can access those funds for the sake of our future. Because this is our future. Direct correlation with security of the nation, as you pointed out. So maybe we just take two more, and then we go. So we take Senator. You speak last, Chief Whip. Senator Neda, you've been raising your hand. After that, Senator Mongono, then we close.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Senator Neda Emerson from Edo South Senatorial District, and I'm very happy, Mr. President, for giving me this privilege to contribute to this debate on out-of-school children. Mr. President, I completely and totally align myself with most of the speakers, if not all of them. But I'm particularly happy because, as you yourself noticed, the federal government does not own primary schools. Primary schools belong to the local government, and we know that the role of the state governors so far to stifle the existence and functionality of these local governments have also contributed to the lack of access to quality schools, primary schools. As we all will agree, education is the basic rock of our society, and we must all put everything in place to make sure that we enjoy quality education. Mr. President, I completely agree that we should have a national summit to be headed by your humble self. I say so because you do have an experience as a former governor, and I know hitherto to you becoming the governor, your state, Akwa Ibom State, was not doing very well in education. But you visited that issue very squarely And today, Akwa Ibom ranks one of those states that are doing so well in education. And in spite of your contribution to education, you did other things. So for me, I'm also happy that former governors are here. And they're all telling us of their experiences while they were governors. But hopefully, though, they will be able to, as we draw from their experiences, those governors who are sitting will also hear from us. Because the issue of the second tenure, yes, if you ask for if you do other things to secure a second tenure, what do you then do when you now have that second tenure? That 4 years that you have is enough for you to attack education and make sure that it's done squarely. So I would say that not until we pay attention to salaries for teachers, incentives for them to do their work properly, building of new schools and boarding houses, because boarding houses is where characters are formed. Boarding houses is where leaderships are formed. Boarding houses is where you have school prefects, house prefects, and the rest. And these are leaders of their various institutions that grow up to be leaders of society. We must pay attention to that and to dilapidated buildings that we find all around our schools.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President, yes, finally, like I said, we urge you to take the leadership in this question, to lead this summit so that we can bring all the governors and all those who are in this industry to help us to agree and to forge a way forward. Not until we do that, Mr. President, we'll be dancing around as if it's an issue going back and forth. Thank you, Mr. President, for this
opportunity. Thank you. We appreciate you, Senator Mangunu, and then we go into recommendations.
Distinguished Senate President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Manguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Why I persisted for Mr. President to recognize me and speak on this matter is, in the course of the debate, I recalled with a deep sense of nostalgia how I was enrolled into school and retained in school to the extent of qualifying as a lawyer. Mr. President, distinguished senators, let me narrate my own personal story of enrollment into school.
Senator Isonazo, please, people should have this meeting outside. Let's concentrate on what
my own personal story of enrollment in school is. I think I will commend the traditional method of enrollment in my own area that was in practice.
Senator Nedwoko, please, one Senate.
Then the word head will be directed
Senator Lalong,
by the education authority to identify children of school age in each home. The ward head, because he knows all the people in his ward, and he knows all the houses that have school age children. That way, in my house, in our house, myself and my twin brother, who is now late, were identified as of school age, and he reported to the school authority. Then, the following year, a messenger came, and we are taken to school. Our father could not object, because if you object, there are appropriate sanctions that will go with it. We are enrolled into school forcefully by identification by the ward head. And then, how I was retained in school. Distinguished senators, Mr. President, it was a boarding school. In fact, I don't want to even come on holiday because the food that I was given in school is better than the food that I eat at home. Because of that, whenever we are going on holiday, I wear sad face because I am missing this good food that I eat in school. When we come on holiday, I'm looking forward to go back to school to eat that good food. So I think it's a very good method of not only enrolling people into school, but also a method of retaining people in school. One, by identifying children of school age in each home, forcefully enrolling them, and also retaining them with all the comfort that ordinarily that they don't get at home. I think
Senator,
I will commend.
Senator Osukwo,
I will commend that method.
Listen to his life experience.
I will commend that method to the authorities today. Well, the school the school feeding program that is now being done is not the best. It's not the best because I can recall that Nido, I was given Nido, I was given banana, I was given rice and beans, and I don't wash my clothes. It was washed and then pressed and given to me, and I was given pocket money as I'm going back to school.
And you still miss those days.
Yes, and I still miss those days. No, I'm not missing those days now because I now eat good food and I have the education. I'm not missing those good days. So, Mr. President, distinguished senators, I think I will commend that method to further energize our school feeding program to make it more attractive so that it can retain children in school. Thank you.
Yeah. Distinguished colleagues, Senator Mustafa, Senator Lalong, you can excuse us and go and have your meeting outside. I think because I don't want us to have a rowdy session. I want us to listen to one another. Why I'm mentioning this is that this is Senate. Every word that comes from the mouth of an elder is something we can use to work on, legislate on, and move the country forward. This issue of out of school children is one of the most important and a major source of insecurity in this country. 20 million children that are out of school is a time bomb for any country. Already we are experiencing banditry. And of course, I also want to thank Senator Ndubeze. If you want to talk about appropriation, take him outside. I just have to mention your names one by one now so that you know that here you have the decorum in the Senate. There is decorum in the Senate. I'm not impressed that people are not listening to one another. So why will he speak and others listen to him when it is his turn? He's engaging you in appropriation discussion. Please, let's be serious here. This is a very important topic. I allowed 1 hour 30 minutes because if we can solve the problem of out of school children in Nigeria, over 20 million children that are out of school, those are potential bandits. Major danger. You can send your children to Cambridge, send your children to Harvard. They can't come back home. You can stay here as a senator and your house is occupied by bandits at home. I have colleagues who are now ministers who are not been to some places in Borno for 5 years. They build houses, abandon those houses. It started from this out of school children issue. So that's why I allowed us to discuss it. It's a very major issue. So let us look at the recommendations and see where it falls short. We add, we amend, or we bring up an addition that can at least help us to make our input towards resolving these issues. Senator Goje, Senator Bello, Senator Lalong, and distinguished Senator Dixon, and a few others here with me, we've had the privileges of being governors in our various states. And we know that primary school education, basic education, belongs to even local government, assisted by the state. The salaries of primary school teachers are paid by local governments. That is why we applaud the Supreme Court decision that monies meant for local government should go direct to local governments. Should not be withheld, deducted, and used for other sources. So it's our job now as legislators to give verve to the Supreme Court decision. And like the Attorney General of the Federation said, I was in Calabar the other day when somebody stood up to give a lecture castigating the Supreme Court and all that, and I refuse to make comment, because if you are not satisfied with the Supreme Court decision, you go to God. The Supreme Court has spoken, and it is our business to obey the Supreme Court. In the legislature, it's our business to tinker and walk around the laws to make sure that that decision of the Supreme Court is not in vain. So these out of school children, if we have to make a legislation on the national, we must do so. So please, let's be very, very serious about this. You have children, they can't come back from abroad after all the investment and they die without knowing why. Because a group of bandits will lay them on the road, rape them, kill them, and then you don't know why they are dying. They are dying because you failed to do the basic. You failed to send your neighbor's child to school. When I was a governor, I declared free and compulsory education for all Nigerian children who found their ways into Akwa Ibom. Paid their WAEC fees, their NAPTEC fees, everything. Compulsory. And I had education monitors. From 8 in the morning, they go around. If they see a child that is hawking, they'll pick up the child, go and arrest the parents. And there were consequences, 6 months imprisonment for any parent or guardian. They allowed a child of school age not to be in school. So if we can replicate that nationally, I think we can solve the problem. We had to build over 6,000 new classroom blocks because of the influx of students. My state was regarded as we had this house boy, house girl syndrome. When I declared free and compulsory education, you could not see any Akwa Ibom person selling groundnut in Lagos. So this is a very serious issue. You go to Kano and you see the number of children who are outside. If the state governments can take action backed by federal government, then something will be done. If we are not able to access UBEC forms, UBEC forms, then we should remove the idea of counterpart funding and then send those monies to, what is the point of keeping billions and billions and billions for over 10 years on the ground that states could not access? We must take this issue very seriously. This is the core of the insecurity in this country. Recommendation 1.
Mr. President, point of order. Sorry, Mr. President and my dear colleagues, I hope I won't bother you much on this issue today after this observation. In view of the very robust contributions we have all made, and we all now understand even much more the seriousness of this issue and the need for cross-fertilization of ideas across different stakeholder levels and authority levels. I do not see any purpose that will be served if we take these recommendations as stated. My suggestion will be, with all due respect, that at this point, we call for a summit. And let us meet, facilitated by you and Mr. President, after you have briefed him. And then let the stakeholders meet and look at all those issues. So at this point, therefore, my suggestion, my advice is that we take only one prayer, one resolution calling for a national summit as a matter of national urgency. I so move.
Yes, Deputy Senate President.
I am Barrow Jibrin cannot not. I stand to say, I hope it's a motion. Move the motion as a con. Okay, he has moved. I assume he has moved.
No, he has not. You can move now.
Okay, move. So that's a con.
By the unanimous views of all, may I move an amendment to the recommendations of our committee to read as follows: that in view of the seriousness of the issue of out-of-schools syndrome in Nigeria and its implications for national development, and realizing also the fact that different levels of stakeholders need to come together to fashion out a lasting solution to this, that this Senate calls for a national summit after briefing the leader of the executive arm. I so move.
Mr. President, for recognizing me to second this very, very important motion. I, Barrow Jibrin, cannot not. I stand to second the motion, the beautiful motion, ably moved by the former governor of Bayelsa State, Mr. Dixon. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, a motion has been moved after the robust debate on the issue of out-of-school children and the beautiful report presented before us by our Committee on Basic Education, that we jettison the various recommendations and then encompass all into one, that this Senate do resolve to have a national summit on the issue of out-of-school children to involve the federal government of Nigeria, the state governments, the local governments, the traditional rulers, the parents, development partners, civil society organizations, and all major stakeholders in the concern in the educational sector to bring a holistic solution to the menace of out-of-school children in Nigeria. That motion has been supported by the Deputy Senate President. And those in support of the motion say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. I want to just thank my colleagues for taking this matter very seriously. I apologize to the chief whips. The chief whip, I had to take over your job to call our colleagues to order because of the seriousness of what we were discussing, so that we know, because this is clearly the future of Nigeria. And I pray that through the national summit, the resolutions to be implemented, issues will be well highlighted, and then all efforts will be made to bring this menace to an end, so that our children can have a better future and not an adulthood in banditry, an adulthood in Boko Haram, an adulthood in fraud. I thank you all. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President, and very distinguished colleagues. The fourth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on the National Eye Center, Doma, Nasarawa State, Establishment Bill 2024 SB 193. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 8 May 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Banigo Ikpalibo Hari, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Ikpalibo Hari Banigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Dr. Banigo, representing Rivers West Senatorial District. I rise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on the National Eye Center, Doma, Nasarawa State, Establishment Bill 2024 SB 193. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Mustafa, you may wish to second the motion as moved by the chairman of the Committee on Health. Musa Mustafa.
Your Excellency, distinguished Senate President, my name is Musa Mustafa from Yobe East. I stand to second the motion submitted. I so from, sir.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do receive the report on health. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The chairman, you may proceed to lay the report. As distinguished Senator Abanigo, you may now summarize the report.
The Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, at its sitting on Wednesday, 8th of May 2024, read for the second time the bill for an act to establish the National Eye Center, Doma, Nasarawa State, and for connected matters therewith, and referred same to the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary, for further legislative action. This bill, sponsored by Senator Onawu Mohammed Ogoshi, Nasarawa South, seeks to establish a National Eye Center in Doma local government area of Nasarawa State to cater for eye health challenges faced by the citizens in the area, as well as serve neighboring communities and visitors. The committee, in consideration of the bill, adopted due methodology, conducted a public hearing on Tuesday, 9th of July 2024, captured the views and opinions of stakeholders and the general public, collated memorandum from the general public. The bill received overwhelming support from stakeholders at the public hearing, and from the information gathered, the committee had a clause-by-clause consideration of this bill and came up with the recommendations contained in this report. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is on record that cataract is one of the most common causes of severe visual impairment and blindness, similarly glaucoma as well. And it is important that we do have such eye centers, national eye centers, within reasonable distance for easy access to the communities. Vision loss majorly affects the quality of life of any individual, hence the importance of this eye center. The National Eye Center, when fully established in Doma, will help to prevent, diagnose, and treat eye conditions, coordinate research in eye diseases, and train specialists, eye care providers, and professionals in eye diseases and related fields. Therefore, the recommendations of this committee, after a clause-by-clause consideration, that the amended bill be approved as recommended. In conclusion, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the committee greatly appreciates the President of the Senate, the Deputy President of the Senate, the entire Senate leadership, and all our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity given to serve in this capacity. Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues.
Distinguished Senator Okochi Onaiwo.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohammed Ogoshi Onao. I represent the good people of Nasarawa South, and I rise to second the motion moved by Senator Banego, Chairman, Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary, and to state that this motion be considered by the Senate. Thank you very much.
Yes, distinguished distinguished Senator Blank, yes.
President of the Senate, our leader, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Dicket Blank, Senator representing Plateau Central. I rise to support and put my weight in support of the bill that's undergoing the process for possible approval for the establishment of a National Eye Center in Doma, Nasarawa State. I support this in its totality because the eye is the most important sensory organ in man. The eye contributes about 80% of the information man needs for his existence. It gives you an idea of what is ahead. It helps you in research. It helps you to avoid where there's insecurity. And therefore, when you have an issue with the eye, it means you have an issue with security, you have an issue with your profession, and therefore, the establishment of more eye center in our country would be very advantageous, particularly at this moment that we have only one eye center in the north, which is in Kano. It is quite too far. I personally believe that the establishment of more eye medical center in our country will help to improve, perfect, and provide good sight, not just to the elderly, but even to the younger ones. I want to support, I'm supporting it, and I believe that all of us will support this, and we would wish that let us have more eye center in our country to help to improve the sight of humanity in our country. I so support, and I believe that all of us will support this move, and all of us that have other bills for the establishment of an eye center, I believe that we would be able to support these bills for us to have more eyesight. I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. President.
Senator May.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to support this very important bill for the sake that it aims at helping to take care of the eye needs of citizens. Located in Doma in Nasarawa State, it has the potential of helping to cut down the number of people who beseech Kano Eye Center to receive treatment for their eye problems and diseases. And Mr. President, eye diseases are very common in this part of the country, and this eye center, when established, will help to treat very common and small eye problems that are left to degenerate to blindness. So having it, and maybe in other places as well, because none can be enough. Health institutions compared to the population of the citizens of this country should be more in number. And as already pointed out by the Senator Plang, Kano Eye Center is the only eye center that is available in northern Nigeria. This is far inadequate. So I support it and commend distinguished Senator Onawo Mohammed Ogoshi for identifying eye care center to be located in this part of the country, so that more of our citizens will have access to eye care. Anybody whose sight is impaired is already a liability to the environment where he operates, because we need people to take him around. So the more we have access to eye care in Nigeria, the better we'll be solving the problems of those who are lining our streets as beggars. Some of these blind people you see, or people with impaired visions, within the cities and around the roads, begging for alms, are people whose eyes can be saved and salvaged if they have access to proper medical attention. So on this note, I support this and urge our colleagues to support SEM while we wait for more of such centers to be built all over Nigeria. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. The Leader of the Senate. Is anybody opposed to this report? No. So move a motion for us to resolve into committee of the whole to consider the bill clause by clause.
Well, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, this report having been so thoroughly discussed, I rise to move that the Senate now resolve to a committee of the whole to enable us take further legislative action. Thank you.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion ably moved by the Majority Leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we resolve in the committee of the whole to undertake clause by clause consideration of this bill. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
And how to establish the National Eye Center DOMA, Establishment Bill 2033 for prevention, diagnosis and treatment of eye, coordination of research, training of specialists in eye diseases and other supporting fields and for related matters, Bill 2024, clause by clause considerations. There is hereby established the National Eye Center DOMA in the bill referred to as the center. Those in support of clause 1, subclauses 1 to 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. in where you see page 1, the long title. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 2 to 10. Those in support of clauses 2 to 10 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 11 to 20. Those in support of clauses 11 to 20 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of clauses 21 to 24 as contained in the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of the interpretation clause 25 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of clause 26 explanatory memorandum on page 20 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, I second the motion that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chair report progress.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do revert to plenary for the chair to report progress. Those in support of the motion as moved say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We revert to plenary for the chair to report progress.
Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on the National Eye Center Doma, Nasarawa State Establishment Bill 2024 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses, clauses 1 to 24 as recommended. Interpretation clause 25 as recommended. Short title clause 26 as recommended. Of course, schedule 1 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate Leader may wish to move a motion for the National Eye Center Doma Nasarawa State Bill to be now read a third time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. I move that the bill be now read for the third time. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you. Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion that the bill for the establishment of the Eye Center in Doma be read a third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those who support that this bill be now read a third time say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish National Eye Center at Doma, Nasarawa State, and for other matters connected therewith, 2024, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish National Eye Center Doma, Nasarawa State, and for other matters connected therewith, 2024, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish National Eye Center Doma, Nasarawa State, and for other matters connected therewith, 2024, third reading taken and passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of the Federal University of Education Technical Gombe Establishment Bill 2024, SB 221. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 1st November 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Dan Kwabo Ibrahim Hassan to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Distinguished Senator Dan Kwabo.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Lead debate on Federal University of Education Technical Gombe Establishment Bill 2024 SB 221. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on this very important bill, which seeks to establish the Federal University of Education Technical Gombe. The bill was read the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, the 1st of November 2023. Mr. President, for any country to achieve a meaningful development, the socio-economic and political systems must be enhanced. This is why successive Nigerian governments place emphasis on the development of individuals as a means to national development. Education is the sure means of developing individual potentials. Among the various educational institutions through which the nation hopes to achieve its development goals, specialized universities of education should take preeminence because they are set up to train the trainers. The development of a sound and robust educational system in any country is therefore predicated on the availability of qualified and well-trained teachers to impart the required knowledge on the students. This is the fundamental justification for the establishment of this specialized institution of higher learning, the Federal University of Education Technical Gombe. Undoubtedly, the realization that universities of education are tools for national development have led to an unbridled quest for and vigorous expansion of such institutions in Nigeria. The objectives of the university are outlined in the bill, amongst which include A, to encourage the development of learning to all persons without distinction of race, creed, sex, or political conviction. B, to develop and offer academic, technical, and professional programs leading to the award of certificates, first degrees, postgraduate research, diploma, and higher degrees with emphasis on planning, developmental, and adaptive skills in education, engineering, technology, applied sciences, agriculture, commerce, arts, social science, humanities, management, and applied professional disciplines. To produce socially matured educational men and women with capabilities not only to understand the educational and technical needs of Nigeria as a nation, but to exploit existing educational infrastructure and improve on them to develop new ones. To act as agents and catalysts for effective educational system through postgraduate training, research, and innovation for effective economic utilization and conservation of the country's human and material resources, and to bring quality change in technical education by focusing on teacher education through teaching and learning innovations. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, the enactment of this bill will go a long way in transforming the decayed educational infrastructure in Nigeria and change the educational fortunes of the country for the better. It will also provide a balanced educational development in Gombe State. In line with Order 76.3 of the Senate Standing Order Rule, Order 2023 as amended, the financial compendium is hereby attached. Finally, therefore, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, it is my prayer and ardent call that you consider the plight of the people who are desirous of becoming professional teachers and support the expeditious passage of the bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Ndubweze.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my fellow colleagues. My name is Engineer Patrick C. Ndubweze. I represent Imo North in the Senate. I'm standing to give my support, total support, to this bill, establishment of Federal University of Education, technical in particular, in Gombe State. Technical in this sense, yes, not just producing teachers that will be teaching in technical schools and all the rest of them, they will also end up in producing students who will come out from that place that are well endowed technically. And this will help to reduce the unemployment in Nigeria, especially in the parts of our children who will come out from the schools and they will be waiting for to be employed. This school will go a long way to empower our children. While coming out from the school, they may be able to start one job or the other on their own and may go ahead to recruit the younger ones in the society, train them, and thereby we are giving employment and reducing the people roaming the streets. Why I'm supporting this is specifically because of the nature, technical, that our children should be taught to be independent. They should be taught to be self-employable. And this will help our society today. We need this. Most of the educational institutions we are building in Nigeria now should be focused towards producing or breeding people that can not only offer employment to themselves, but will be able to offer employment to society. And that is to say, you've taken from the four walls of the university, you are coming to add into the society. And with this, insecurity will be reducing. So, it is my wholesome decision to give credence and very, very adequate support to this, and believing that my colleagues here will give our brother, most distinguished Senator Dan Kwambo, and having been a former governor of that state, he is coming with experience. Something made him to come up with this bill, and so it should be supported. I so submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dismissed Senator Goje.
I am Mohammed Anjuma Goje, Mr. President, representing Gombe Central, Gombe State. Mr. President, I stand to fully and forcefully support the establishment of this very, very important university. And Mr. President, it is important for my colleagues to know that already in Gombe, we have an old, well-established Federal College of Education Technical that has been in existence for more than 30 years, that has produced so many teachers that are qualified, and we have more than enough people that are waiting to go and get university degrees, being qualified and experienced teachers possessing NCE Technical. So this university will not only give higher impetus to education.
Sorry, is this one different from the one you have?
Huh?
You said you already have a federal university?
No, college, Federal College of Education Technical.
Are you converting it?
But whether you convert it or not, when you have a university technically in Gombe, you have already have got Federal College of Education Technical in Gombe. It's not difficult to integrate the two and make it very easy, and it's very cheap.
No, what I'm saying, if you have a Federal College of Education Technical, are you now upgrading it to Federal College of to Federal University?
I am not a sponsor of this bill, but I assume that if you're establishing Federal University Education Technical in Gombe, and there's already a Federal College of Education in Gombe, the two will be merged.
The two should be merged.
Definitely, it makes sense, and it's cheaper. Cheaper for the federal government.
It's cheaper, and the
infrastructure is there.
Infrastructure is already there.
It's there, and it is quicker for the federal government, and therefore we expect very quick.
Instead of
once the Senate approves it, I'm sure it will be easy for the government
new logistics, new teacher. Instead of new buildings, new teachers, new this, new that.
Yes,
that the other one should be upgraded.
Everything. You are finishing, Mr. President.
Yes.
So I think the debate is over. Thank you. I really urge my colleagues to support this very important bill to ensure that we have that university in Gombe.
Senator Dankwambo.
Thank you.
What Senator Goje is saying is that already there is a Federal College of Education Technical in Gombe, and now you are requesting Federal University of Education Technical, and that is happy if that other one is upgraded to degree awarding status, because things are already in place. Okay, so is that reflected in the bill? It's reflected in the bill. Okay. So is there anybody who is opposed to this? No. Okay, Leader of the Senate, you may now wish to move a motion for this bill to be
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I guess what is left is for me to move that this motion, this bill be now read for the second time.
Yes, Minority Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion that this bill be read a second time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, having heard the explanation from the two former governors, I now put the question. Those in support that this bill be now read a second time say aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal University of Education, Technical, Gombe, and for other matters connected there with 2024. Second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill to establish the Federal University of Education, Technical, Gombe State Establishment Bill 2024. And for other related matters, second reading taken. This bill is now referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Church Fund to report back to the Senate in 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. On the order paper, we have several committee engagements today, as well as a public hearing. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I would like to most respectfully request that we step down the other items on the agenda, on the order paper, for another legislative day. And in that regard, Mr. President, I would also be moving that the Senate do stand adjourned till Thursday, the 24th day of October 2024 at 11 a.m. I so move, Mr. President.
The minority leader double-barrel motions. One, that we step down other items, and two, that we adjourn to Thursday. So you may wish to second the motions.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion.
Distinguished colleagues, a double-barrel motion has been moved by the leader that we do step down the other items on the other paper to another legislative day to enable us to attend to other matters of committees, public hearings, particularly the one on agriculture taking place by 2 o'clock. And then, of course, we also adjourn this Senate to Thursday, the 24th day of October 2024. Those in support of the two motions say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the Senate stands adjourned to Thursday, the 24th day of October 2024.